Imagine waking up in the middle of the night, not because of a nightmare, but because something is walking around your bed. You hold your breath, the footsteps stop. Then, a woman's voice whispers your name. Even though no one is there, you grab a candle. The room is empty, but just as you begin to calm down, something violently pulls the blanket off your bed. You run outside, only to hear laughter coming from the darkness beyond the trees. Now imagine this happening. Not for one night, not for 1 week, but for years. This wasn't the plot of a Hollywood horror movie, according to dozens of witnesses. It allegedly happened to a real American family in rural Tennessee. The story became so famous that future U.S. President Andrew Jackson reportedly traveled to see it himself. Some people believe it was America's first documented paranormal case. Others believe it was one of the greatest hoaxes in American history. More than 200 years later, no one agrees on what really happened tonight. We're uncovering the terrifying legend of the Bell Witch. The year was 1817. America was still a young nation. Much of Tennessee was rugged frontier land. Families built their own homes, worked endless days in the fields, and survived by depending on one another. Life was hard, but for one family, it was about to become something far worse than difficult. The Bell family was respected throughout their community. They weren't known for strange stories. They weren't fortune tellers. They weren't involved in the occult. They were ordinary farmers, which makes what happened next so difficult to explain. The head of the household was John Bell. He had moved from North Carolina to Tennessee years earlier. Like many settlers of the time, he dreamed of building a better future for his family. Over the years, John became one of the area's most successful farmers. His wife, Lucy, was deeply religious. Together, they raised several children. Neighbors respected them. Visitors were always welcomed. Nothing about the Bell family suggested they would become part of American folklore. But in the autumn of 1817, something changed. One evening, John Bell was walking through his cornfield when he noticed an unusual animal. At first glance, it looked like a dog. Then, it looked more like a wolf. But when it turned toward him, its head appeared strangely distorted. Its eyes reflected the fading sunlight. John lifted his rifle. He fired. The creature disappeared without leaving a trace. No blood, no footprints, nothing. John returned home confused. He tried convincing himself that exhaustion had played tricks on his mind, but the strange encounter was only the beginning. Only days later, the Bell family began hearing sounds inside their home. At first, they ignored them. Old houses creak, wood settles. Animals sometimes find their way into the walls. But these sounds were different. Every night, the noises became louder. Knocking echoed through the walls. Heavy footsteps crossed empty rooms. Chains seemed to drag across the wooden floor. Children woke in fear. The family searched every corner of the house. Nothing. No intruder. No loose animals. No explanation. Then, the disturbances became personal. The youngest daughter, Betsy Bell, claimed that something invisible tugged at her hair while she slept. She said unseen hands pulled her blankets away. Sometimes she felt sharp slaps, as if someone invisible was standing beside her bed. At first, her parents struggled to believe her until they witnessed the terrifying events for themselves. One night, as the family sat together in complete silence, a voice echoed through the room. Not loud, not angry, just enough to make everyone freeze. No one could tell where it came from. The Bell family had crossed a line. This was no longer strange noise inside an old farmhouse. Something or someone appeared to be communicating with them. And before long, the entire community would hear about it. But what happened next turned a local ghost story into one of the most famous paranormal legends in American history, because the mysterious voice was about to reveal that it knew everyone's secrets.